Good evening, everybody. Welcome to week one of your Technology and Entertainment Media course, or TEM as we usually call it. We have a very large group, so I expect some more folks will be filtering in as we get underway. If you miss anything, if you lose connection, if you don't have power, if you're listening on your phone, anything, if it gets interrupted and you miss part of it, the archive is recorded and uploaded this evening and will be shared with your various sections online tomorrow. I'm the course director, so I'm the one who wrote all the curriculum. If you have trouble with it or issues with it or you really dislike it, I'm the one to blame. But I promise you, it wasn't there just to torture you. It all has a point. But a lot of you, we have 23 different sections of this class this month. So a lot of you may have other instructors. That's all totally fine. Your instructor's name can be found on your FSO page on the top left-hand corner. I don't know if it'll show it on mine. It'll look kind of like this. So that's me. If I'm your instructor, I'll look like that. And it'll have your course code here. And then this is your year, month, and section number. So for plan of attack, which is something we're going to be covering shortly, when you log onto the classroom, if you look under TEM 1000, that's online, your course number is right under there. This is course 2019-1101. Okay? So that will be of use for you guys. If you have any of our other instructors, you are totally okay with all of them. They are good peeps. Most of us have worked at Full Sail for 5 to, I think last Tuesday was my 18th year teaching at the university. So we are here to help you guys. We greatly appreciate our students. You are the reason we are teaching, regardless if you think it's just us torturing you. That's secondary. That's just a bonus perk. So as we go in this week, I'll address how I generally do the go-tos for TEM. I will almost always be the one running them for you. Other folks step in and cover. It's usually because something came up. I had an extra meeting or I had to cover the campus lecture. So to start off with, we always have here the overview. The week overview video is by one of my associate course directors. Together as a team, we made the little bumpers in the front, with the idea being that they're usually reference to various science fiction properties that are out there in the world that you guys should read or watch the movies for or watch the TV shows for. You don't, of course, have to be in science fiction to be in any of our degrees, but we have all 11 of the technology degrees that are under the TEM umbrella. And the reason for that is because you all utilize technology in the design and implementation of your specific degrees. So your industries might be different, but you're all utilizing technology in your industry to make and create things. Okay, so that's one of the similarities. And some of the stuff we try to teach in this class is how you have to keep up with technology and technology changes, because it will greatly impact your specific world as you move forward. So this week's overview is the only one that is more to an ode to as opposed to a direct pull. And it is based on the old style Batman ones, but it's actually all the pulp science fiction shows. The Man from Mars, Planet Nine, Came from Outer Space, all of those type, the Blob. Although the Blob's a little bit later, that's more 70s-ish. Oh, actually, no. No, the original Blob. I'm thinking Blob versus Godzilla for some reason. But the original Blob was definitely old. And there's a lot of good stuff out there that have a lot of good stories. And they're still good stories. Not all of them. Some of them are comically bad. Like the Blob actually is pretty bad. But, you know, they're funny for what they are. But if you get to watch them and you keep up with some of those stories, they're the basis of a lot of the stuff you're going to be creating as you move forward. And it's good to know where stuff came from. so you can get inspiration from a lot of different places. So first thing, every week, watch the overview video. It's going to give you an explanation of what your week is going to be covering in TIM, and generally it'll give a rundown of the two assignments and kind of some issues that might come up with those particular assignments. Okay? After you cover that part, then in the lecture we will cover the two assignments for the week. So this week we'll discuss plan of attack, talk about all of that, and then we'll talk about 1.2 industry websites and all of that, and what those two assignments require. Okay? So every lecture, you'll come in here. I'll talk to you first about the overview video and what's going on for the week and why you're doing these assignments, because having context is super, super helpful. And then we'll talk about the plan of attack. Well, the first assignment for the week, I'll explain what is required. I will explain some things that might come up and the correct and incorrect way to handle some of this stuff, okay? And then we'll do the same for the second assignment. Now, because we currently have like 75 people in chat and it is just myself, I can't answer all your questions on the side as we're scrolling through and I'm trying to lecture, because it makes for a very disjointed talking. So what I try to do is I will talk about the basics. We'll go through all the information for the week for a particular section. So in this particular example, I'll talk about the overview. At the conclusion of the overview, I'll ask if you have any questions. Then I will talk about 1.1 plan of attack this week. After I finish explaining about the plan of attack, I will ask if you have any questions on 1.1, etc., etc. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, I know you guys started at the beginning by talking about the video games that everybody's playing. Is anyone other than myself playing Other Worlds? Or Outer Worlds? I'm sorry, not Other Worlds. Okay. It is by Obsidian Studios, so the people who made Fallout New Vegas. And if you were a fan, oh gosh, it covers a wide range. If you're a fan of Knights of the Old Republic, if you're a fan of Fallout New Vegas or the Fallout titles as a whole, if you're a fan of Mass Effects, then I would definitely suggest it. And I would suggest it for anyone going into game design, because instead of making a giant sprawling game with the, hey, we have 100,000 hours of things for you to explore, they've actually pulled it back and added depth. So the main story takes, I think, 30 hours to complete, which is still, I think, decent amount of play. But the key thing with it is within that 30 hours, there's a lot of depth of character, development, stories, a lot of choices and stuff. So it's a great thing for all of you designers to get an idea and stay current with what's happening out there, even for genres that you don't particularly work on, because you can always pull that into some of your other areas. Does that make sense? Other Worlds. Other Worlds. Very, very interesting. And I hesitate to ask because this never works out for me. Has anyone here ever watched the TV show that was abruptly canceled called Firefly? Oh, I'm sorry, Outer Worlds, not Other Worlds, Outer Worlds. Okay, if you've watched Firefly, Outer Worlds is pretty much Firefly in video game form. So, without being in that specific universe. So the storytelling is super, super interesting. Definitely watch Firefly. There is the TV series. It was canceled after like 10 episodes. They didn't even, it was not the right time for it, but it was really, really great. It's science fiction, western-y kind of, it's neat. Definitely, definitely good stuff. But all of this is what you guys, even if you're not actively playing, try to pay attention to what's coming on out there, what's coming out there, so that you can stay current and see design trends and what's happening and stuff like that. All right, does that make sense? So the why you're here is because you are all part of a big technology world. And technology changes and your industries change constantly. Many of you have stuff where you might want to be a computer animator. And you say, well, I'm coming here for computer animation. I'm going to be a computer animator and I'm going to work for Pixar. And that's great. That is definitely a solid goal. And we actually talk about goals and how to get towards them in week 3. But Pixar usually does not hire people directly out of college. Do you know why? Anyone want to hazard a guess why you won't get a job at Pixar out of college? Experience is a huge part. The other reason is the job pool of people who applied at Pixar is thousands a day. And of those thousands a day, we can say 400 of those are experienced animators, and the other, 600 are new graduates. So if they all want to work for you, you can kind of choose who you're going with. So you need to build up that portfolio and get some experience. And I'm not mentioning that to crush anyone's dreams. I'm mentioning it because there are other paths to get to where you want to go. And part of this class is reaching out and discovering what is going on in your industry, who's who in your industry, and other avenues in which you can get there. So as an example for my computer animators, if you're in the Central Florida area, definitely, you can work for the military simulation companies. It's not the military. It's not even the government. They're the people who do simulators for the military. So the Army actually published one of their games. It was called Army, I think, Army 1 or something like that. Call of Duty, that kind of stuff. But they use that for training soldiers, flight simulators, all of that kind of stuff. Yes, Army of 1. So there's a huge market in Central Florida for those simulations. They still need computer animators and game art folks. So you have a great opportunity to go work somewhere for years, have them train you to kind of build up your repertoire of skills. And then from there, you move into with experience, the studios you're looking for. You're not going to be aware of that because you guys aren't in your industry yet. So as you progress through this month, that's the focus we have. So you can learn about your industries, you can learn about your degree programs, and you can learn whether you're in the right spot for what you're hoping to achieve. All right, so as we move forward, keep those things in mind. Those really are the goals of the class. None of them are here just to frustrate you. I know you think that's what teachers really enjoy. It's not, I promise. So you have 2 assignments. Generally, you have 2 assignments every week in this class. Other classes, you might have 4. Some you might have 1 a week, etc., etc. Graphic design is totally fine here. It actually is in every field as well. And technology is super important for you to keep up with as well. There are a lot of different avenues for graphic design as well. There's always the box art, and it is Outer Worlds. So if we look at Outer Worlds, I just actually want images. That would do. Nope, that's specific. Hello? That? I want just that. I don't want the split picture. Oh, that's horrible. So this is where graphic design comes in. That's a graphic design thing. Nobody else made it. Graphic design made it. So this logo is graphic design. All of this, the little touches, is also graphic design. So understand that I might mention gaming as examples. It is by no means exclusive, but it's also by no means excluding anybody. This logo lines up almost perfectly with that spaceship you see in the background over here. That's the spaceship you guys are on, and it lines up very nicely with this. So the Outer Worlds is like on the spaceship and at that angle, etc., etc. So there's a lot of little touches. where it's all integrated and brought in. There's a lot of posters, a lot of stylized stuff, and that's all graphic design stuff that gets brought in. Oh, wrong one, almost closed the wrong one. Oh no, oh noes. All right, so I'm gonna put this back. If you're wondering why I keep moving the window, it's because from here over is blocked by chat, and from here over is blocked by my control panel for doing the lecture. So I have to move stuff around so I can see it. So first off, we have our assignment this week called the Plan of Attack. Now, some people think this is a giant waste of time. I'm sorry, it's not. And some people get this confused with Psychology of Play or CRP. I'm not sure which one does the weekly calendar. I think it was Psychology of Play. This is not a schedule. This is not a week-by-week activity chart. This is not a day-by-day activity chart. You don't map hours that you're doing stuff. The full intent of this assignment is so that you don't get caught with your hands in the cookie jar, so to speak, run out of time for your work in this class. This is a workflow document. That means it might not be permanent. When you write your work schedule, it's fluid, it's going to have change, it's going to have a whole bunch of different things. It is here for you. The information on it needs to be pertinent for you. Some of you are fortunate and have nothing else but school going on in your life, and you'll tell your instructor, I don't have anything to fill in a calendar. I just do stuff all the time. Well, if you're not actually doing school 24 hours a day, or we'll say 16 to 18 hours a day when you're awake, then you have stuff to do on the Plan of Attack. Because the intent of this assignment is for you to look through all of this month, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, peruse through and see what each assignment requires of you, fill on when you're going to be working on your assignments. I will say as an example, Friday evening might be the night you really dig in, and then you finish up stuff on Saturday, right? That might be your plan. That's totally fine. Except you forgot in week 2 that you actually have a family dinner on Friday evening, so your Friday evening homework time is kind of full that week. So you'd probably want to figure out when else during the week you would be able to do that work. So this is to allow you to map all of your work for school and the time you think you're going to need for it against your map of your work schedule, your family obligations, your pets, when you have to play Outer Worlds, all of that stuff. I mean, if you're a COD fan, that's totally okay. But, you know, the real gameplay, quote unquote, is in Outer Worlds. Just saying. I'm a fan. But so this is what we're looking at, okay? This week, you're going to read through the assignment, and then I will let you guys in on a pet peeve for pretty much every instructor you will have ever in your entire life. If you send me an email and it says, I have no idea what to do for a 1.1 plan of attack. Do you think that is a focused and useful question for me or whoever your instructor is? No. Yeah. Because see, the best I can come up with then is what Tiara says. What's the question? What are you stuck on? And if you reply to what are you stuck on with, I just don't understand what I'm supposed to do, it's literally laid out for you. It's laid out for you here in this format. It's laid out for you here in bullet point format. It is laid out for you here exactly what you need to turn in. There might be resource videos. There's related links that might be of use. And there is even at the very bottom, the PDF that tells you everything you need to do. And at the end of every single assignment is this. Does anyone know what this is? Hopefully you do. It says it right here. A rubric. Now, I will let you in on the other big secret. This rubric is how your instructors grade your work. You can see on mine, I'm kind enough to share and tell you what the point value roughly is. Some have percentages in the top of the columns. It's slightly different formats. So if you have most of the required information requested and your backup plan is verifiable and you have some real world to task but not a lot, and most real-time estimates are filled in, meaning you are missing some of the estimates, on this particular section, you'll get 69 to basically 45 points. So 46 to 69, and you'll be in the proficient category. Does that make sense? So please don't ask questions of, I'm stuck, if you haven't actually looked over the assignment and can't tell me what you're stuck on, or what you don't understand, or what you need to do. Okay? Now, with this assignment, there are some options for you. You're going to explore the month and see what you have to do. And for each of these, by the way, I really want you you don't have to have an understanding of the assignment at this point. Like, I'm not expecting you to go, oh, yeah, that's all wrapped up. I got it. It's good. What I would like you to do is look over these bullet points to see what you're being asked to do and turn in. And then do your best guess at how long you think that's going to actually take you to do. That's the key thing with this, because some of the stuff, this assignment, you're going to have a lot more to do than you think, and it's going to take hours instead of the 30 minutes on Sunday evening that you've allocated for it. Okay? I understand. Everybody procrastinates, and sometimes, unfortunately, that's the cards life deals you, and Sunday evening is when you can do your homework. So what we want you to do in this class is be successful. So in order to be successful, you have to have a plan. That's what this plan is for. Okay? So I want you to explore the assignments, see what's what, see how long it's going to take. I want you to have an idea of what your backup plan is going to be. And I get asked all the time, well, what do you mean by a backup plan? I have a computer, I have internet, I pay my bills. Why would that be an issue? Does anyone here live in Northern California? All right. Yes, power outages. Because the power company is shutting off the power. So here's the thing. You got to have a backup plan. You have to at least have communicated with your instructor what's going on. Now, that is a slightly more natural disaster, catastrophe level stuff. So obviously, we're willing to work with you guys. But let's just say your company in your whatever area you live in turns your power off and you don't have power for a day. That's generally not too big a deal, right? Is it a big deal if you waited till Sunday evening to turn in your homework? Yes. Losing power for just a few hours is a big deal if those are the few hours you're going to turn stuff in, right? So what you'll need to do is have a backup plan on how you might be able to get something uploaded, or where you'd be able to work, how you'd be able to work on your assignments if something comes up. Your router burns out, your modem goes bad, your cable goes out, your dog tinkles on your laptop, your cat pukes on your router, whatever happens, whatever kind of pet you have, your snake squeezes your modem to death, whatever. So it's important that you have a backup that's viable. Usually Starbucks, McDonald's, etc. have some stuff for you, some internet that you'd be able to capitalize on. It might not be super fast, but it will be there and functional. So those are all okay. But this is what you need to do. For the first one, you're going to walk around through all the different class, see what's what, and then you're going to come back. Now, down below at the very bottom is of a plan of attack template. There's this one here. Right here is our template. There is a one-page save video and a plan of attack help video that should help you if you're on an iPad or other things. And this is roughly what our template looks like after it's been filled in. Now, here's the thing, guys. Honestly, It does not have to look like this. Where are my graphic design people? Hello, how are you guys? If you wanted to do a roundel, if you wanted to do Wordle, if you wanted to do giant colored circles for the different areas of your life that you categorize the stuff. So homework is a red circle, family is a green circle, gaming is a bright yellow circle because it's the sun in which our lives revolve around. That's all okay. The important thing is that it's a visual representation of your free time and where your time is going to be spent. I do not need to know that from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. you will work on TEM homework. And then from 2:30 p.m. to 5:30 you'll play a video game. Those aren't the details I need to know. I need a block of time, 2 hours, TEM homework, Friday evening. That's what I need. I need something that visually for you is going to let you see the conflict you will have with your homework requirements and your real life work and family requirements. Okay? Does that make sense? You do not have to use our pre-existing template. If you have an iPad and you want to do it in Sheets, that's totally okay. Amanda, yes, that would be super helpful, but also know that I'm colorblind, so, just saying. Color coding, not the best for me. Yes, all this needs to be digital because you're in an online degree. And it has to be submitted as a PDF file format document. So, yes, you have to send it in. Kaylee, it's actually a hue deficit. So, if you see a gradient wheel, the gradient part of the color vision test, you have 4 lines of about 20 color patches, and you have to arrange each 20 color patches on all 4 lines in order so that it's the actual gradient wheel. I can't get that right. I fail that utterly. I just can't. If the colors are close to another color, then it's my best guess what it is. I can see colors, but it's that kind of thing. Kia, yeah, if you take a picture, most programs will actually allow you to convert it to a PDF. Almost anything you use, even drawing in Photoshop, will let you convert into that. So that's stuff you want to consider and take into account. Okay. Yes. For the section that is this bit right here, you're in TEM 1000. And then C 2019-11, that's the month and year. And the final 2 numbers are your section. So this is section 1 that's on display here, and you just need to let us know. The reason for that is twofold. First is so that you know where you are in the section and you know who your instructor is. And the second specific one is so that when you send a message to one of us, we know who you are and what section you're in, because there are a lot of sections. So when you send me information and you say, hey, I'm in your class, I have trouble, these are all the sections I see because I'm the department chair for this, and these are all the ones I oversee. So if you just send me an email saying, I don't understand my assignment, what I'm supposed to do, that is just going to slow down our process of getting you some help. So please, please, please make sure you ask specific questions. Tell us what section you're in, and make sure you're reaching out to your instructor. Okay? Again, because some of you might have missed the beginning of this, hold all questions till I'm done talking about the particular area, and then I will try to cycle through. The text scrolls by way too fast, so questions that I see people have asked are already scrolled up, and I can't see them on the screen anymore. And if I try to scroll up to see them, anytime someone enters something else, they get bumped up, and I lose the grip on them, so to speak, with the chat bar. So save your questions until just a minute or two, and then I'll be done this section, and we can answer your questions you might have on it, okay? So going back up top, You need to look through all the different assignments. You need to see what your plan is, how you plan on getting them done on your iPad, on a computer at home. Where you're going to go for internet, what the backup plan will be. You can use the template. If you do not use the template, by the way, if you do not use the template, look at the template to make sure you cover all the information that the template is actually providing, because that's the stuff that we're looking for according to the rubric, okay? So if it asks for your section number and it asks for a backup plan, you need to have your section number and your backup plan on whatever it is you're working. This plan of attack assignment is in week 1, but it covers the entirety of our month. It is not just from now until Sunday. So I need you to look through the entirety of the class, do your best guess estimate. I'll show you here. Down here are the estimates. It says your time estimates. You're going to have a time estimate for every single assignment that we cover. Actual time, obviously, you're only going to be able to have actual time for your week 1 assignments, right? And people get super confused and they're like, honestly, Mr. Jacques, what the hell is this part even for? This part is because if you look and you say, oh, the plan of attack, I'll be done that in an hour, no problem. And then when you complete it, you go back here to actual time and you go, oh, holy monkeys, it took me 7 hours to do that stupid assignment that Mr. Jacques made us do. Why on earth? I need to adjust this. So the actual time versus your estimate is so as you work your way through the month, and you do not have to resubmit, this is for you. If you see that all of week 1 and all of week 2 took 4 times longer than you expected it to take, you might want to make an adjustment to your plan of attack for your use in week 3 and week 4, right? It's one of those things you kind of want to see how that goes, right? And that's what you would put in notes. Oh my gosh, that was hard. Holy monkeys, that was horrible. Please don't make me do this assignment again. This one seemed totally silly. How come we can't just play video games? Whatever you want in your notes, that's totally okay. All right? And then it needs to be customized. So if you're doing something totally out of the box and not using the template, that's okay. All right? The idea is something to visually differentiate for you. Visually. Because I want you to have this printed out or displayed somewhere. If you can't print it, that's fine. Make it the wallpaper for your iPad. If you don't want it as a wallpaper for your iPad, take a picture of it with your phone. Make it the wallpaper of your phone. Print it out at a Kinko's or a FedEx store and tape it to your door as you leave and go into your house every day. Whatever is going to work for you. This is a tool for you to use. And it's here not to map out your everyday, but so that you can see where you might have conflicts, where you might have super busy days, and you might be able to move homework to other days. If you're off on Tuesday, I know you're going to be like, oh man, I could just totally play video games all day because I'm doing my homework on Friday and Saturday, so it doesn't matter. Oh, but wait, this week I have tons of stuff on Friday, so I should probably do some of that homework today. Does that make sense? So you're going to go through the whole month, and then you are going to save this as a single page PDF. If you're on a Google Drive, this, unfortunately, all right, so people that were curious about my color vision, in this paragraph, there is a link, right? There is a link to a video. Can you guys see it? I can't. There's not enough, the font's not thick enough. There's not enough concentration of color. So everything in this paragraph looks the same to me. I don't even know if FSO uses black or not black. But all of that stuff is there. And there is a link. You just have to go, there it is. There it is. Right. So when you see that, that's going to open up the video tutorial if you're using Google, and you can go ahead and take care of it. All right. So then we go down below here, and you can see we have the minimum requirements to make sure the things you have and then you're going to export it as a PDF. Do not zip it, please. It has to be a PDF. You can submit it as other stuff, but there's items that are then going to lose points. So if you don't have the correct file format and you look on the rubric, you lose about 5 points, sometimes 10, depending on how bad off you are. It's one of those things. It's actually set that way, but like right here, if I click, now my GoToTraining window is what's active, and I can scroll on the chat bar, and then this doesn't do anything. I can't click on anything. But if I activate that window, then I can come over here and change this. So I can tell when there's an underline. Just underlines seem to be out of fashion these days. Nobody likes them. They're not hip. You gotta have these non-underlined links all over the place. In my day, you used to have to go to school uphill both ways in the snow. Now you get these newfangled web links with no underlines. So keep that in mind. This is the focus of this assignment, guys. It is something to help you look at what your month is going to be like, see where the conflicts are, visually represent it so that you're able to track the information that's necessary to make good decisions, and help you make a plan to get through this month successfully. Does that make sense? Okay, now, are there any questions on 1.1 plan of attack? Amanda asked the welcome letter. The reason I read your questions, by the way, is the chat is not saved on the archive, so I need to read the question so it makes sense for them. The welcome letter, it asked you to make a signature line. Does that apply to the plan of attack assignment? That actually is the information in the top left here. This is the information that should go in your signature when you're writing anybody. It doesn't have to be formatted any particular way. That's just the kind of information you want to have. Does that make sense? Dylan, it does not need to be color-coded, but it needs to be customized, and some effort needs to be put in. If it's just information filled out on our black and white template, you'll lose points. Melissa says, do you have to answer the questions in A, something, somewhere, or are they just things to think about? They're actually what you're going to base all of this stuff on. So when you look at A, it's just stuff like, what computer do you plan on using? That's actually here. The computer you'll be using for it, internet you'll be using, backup plan, all that stuff. So that's just it's just to get you an understanding of what it's going to be working. Hold on, I'm scrolling, trying to get that sentence right for hers. Milliunia, is that correct? Milliunia? I'm sorry. Miss Mays, is that okay? Miss Mays asked a question. Hold on, I'm trying to get to your question. Everybody keeps chatting. Basically, we're just making a list of our month or week. You're actually going for the entirety of the month. You want to make sure all 4 weeks are filled out for that, okay? All 4 weeks and all the assignments you want to try to fill in when you're working on things. Oh, goodness. Hold on. Joel asks, hold on. Everybody. The layout, Joel asks, is the layout for the week? Oh, my goodness. If this jumps one more time, I'm just going to go. Stop typing just for a moment, people. Is the layout for a general week or for me tracking day by day for the whole month? You pretty much want a day by day, because some days you're going to have more free time to work on stuff and some days you're going to have less. So you want to make sure that you can see that set out in such a way that it works, okay? Clavon asks, because I'm not your instructor, I'm not the one who grades your assignment. That is correct. If I am not the person in the top left of your FSO page, I will not be grading your work. And what you will need to do is any questions you have, direct them to your instructor. And if it's something that you know because it's in the archive that we've based our conversation on, just refer to the video and say, Mr. Jacques said this during the video, so I'm just trying to be clear on what I'm supposed to do. Does that make sense? Someone said go to froze on them. The archive will be available, or you exit and come back into the lecture and you should be good to. If I write a paper planner, take a, oh man, I'm almost there. If I write a paper planner, take a photo, convert that photo to a PDF, does that work? Akia, I would prefer you use technology in some form, be it on your iPad, which I know is way more of a pain for some of you that aren't used to it. But try to create it with some technology on your iPad or a laptop or a PC or whatever you have available. And then you can be as creative as you want on that. There's GIMP, there's other free programs if you're going the graphic design way, so you can go crazy on that. There's other programs that you can use and customize to make visual. There's tons of online things you might be able to utilize and tools. So as long as it's visual, but I would suggest doing it in a digital format to make the rest of that easier. Jeffrey says, can we use the template? Oh, shoot. I only got the first part of that. How do we set up a signature line? The signature line is actually the information underneath. It'll say email signature info on the template. The 5 blocks underneath that is the information you generally will want on a signature block. As long as you have that block filled out, you're fine. You can use the template and edit in Excel. Yes, you can use the template in Excel. You can also use the template uploaded to Google Docs and use Google Docs. Does not require any installation, can be used on a web browser, on an iPad, on a PC, on a Mac, or anything else you need. Are the actual times for the assignments in the weeks ahead going to be empty when we submit? The actual time, yes, because you haven't worked or completed on them yet, so that's not going to be able to happen. But the estimate, your time estimate, I expect you will go forward from this point, look at each assignment, figure out what it's going to be, and then go from there. Does that make sense? Somebody says, do you know an app that we can do this on? I would suggest Google Docs. It has an app called, I think, Pages or Numbers for Google. That looks a lot like, I don't have any open right now. Looks a lot like this, except it's online. So this is one of those things where it does the same thing. It's just doesn't require an actual download. Does that have to be one page when someone like me who does game design wants to make a monthly flowchart? Unfortunately, yes, it does need to fit in a single page because I'm not looking for an hour by hour. We're looking for something visually that's going to be able to represent your choke points. It does not matter when you save this document successfully. It's a single page, and you can do that either as a save as export or you can print, and then as a print option choose PDF, and it'll print a PDF file, which is just seriously archaic tech that they never updated the terminology for. It's going to be super, 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 super tiny on that PDF. When you open it, you're going to be like, oh my God, you can't read that. I have to fix this. I can zoom in, people. It's okay. Totally works. I can zoom in and you're good to go. All right. Isabel, I don't actually have any current examples, but in the past I got roundels. I got something that looked a lot like a Venn diagram. And then there was one that was, what was it? Like a mind map kind of thing where they had interconnected circles for the various weeks, and then that had the tasks that spilled off of that, stuff like that. So as long as you cover the base information that we're asking for in the rubric itself, then you'll be good to go. When we upload, do we have to put the sections on the file name? No, you do not, Cleavon. That's automatically, wherever you upload to, that class is appended to that particular file. It just needs to be in a PDF Because if it's not in a PDF, what happens is I have to go through and download. I have 75 students, so I will need to download 75 projects onto my laptop, and I prefer not. I don't know how careful you guys are with your internet security settings and what you might have on your computer. So I prefer not to actually have to download your files onto my computer. I would prefer you have it as a PDF, because then I can open it in another window, look at your work while I have it open with the groups and everything else. So let's see. Google Play, the App Store, does also have, I can't remember what it's called for iPad. Numbers? Is it Numbers for the Mac, I think? And that's also free from the App Store. I saw, actually, is another question. Zach, could you just repeat your question? I know there's one more. Yes, Pages, Numbers, and Keynote. All of those work. I am on Discord. It is closed. And for those of you that in any of the development programs, Discord was designed by Full Sail graduates. Woo woo! Power to the peeps. So here we have our Discord. This is all my activity information. If you go here, you can see I am L. Jacques. We do not have a class section yet. We're working on getting that approved. They didn't want to back it up with 7,000 things. Discord is like, I don't know. There's really not much like it. It allows asynchronous chat conversations, so it's like a chat program, but it's also built in with voice, so it has a lot of voice programs, and you can have different channels and different permission levels, etc., etc. So it's super, super useful for that. All right. Every single time. It's a weekly plan, but I have an idea. Nope, there can you see example. I have a schedule of one from Psychology of Play. Keep in mind, Anna, schedule of play or Psychology of Play was an actual schedule. I'm not looking for an actual schedule. I'm looking for something, it looks like it in our template, because that's a base default. And some of you are way more creative than others, not in a judgment way, just that's how it happens. So some of you are going to be like, oh, I want colors and shapes, and it's going to look awesome, and it's super cool, and I can see exactly what I need to do. And other people are like, I would like to make a list of my assignments that I have to do and when I have to turn them in. So we draw the line and give a template so that you have a basic part of it, if you will. No, you cannot use the calendar on your phone. This is not a... you can put in specific assignments and stuff, but this is for you to plan your workflow, not to schedule things for your month. Does that make sense? The key difference with this, guys, is you are not scheduling your work, you're not scheduling your family time, you're not scheduling your homework time. This is for you to see where you will have conflicts and bottlenecks, where you have a lot of stuff that's due on a certain day, where you might need to spread it out, etc., etc. Does that make sense? Color coding does count as going above and beyond. If I want full points, I have to get. You do have to add some sort of pizzazz. Yes, we want pizzazz. Are we good? Does the section for non-temp items have to always be filled in? Yes. If you do not have real life items, it is of no use. Saying I have homework for Tim on Tuesday and Thursday will not help you determine if those Tuesdays and Thursdays are busy if you don't actually have anything else listed. So you do need to make sure you have real life work, family obligations, board game day, video game LAN party, whatever it is you're doing. It's okay. There's no judging on this particular end on this assignment. We are merely looking for something so you have a tool so you can see where there's issues. Yes, Excel will work just fine. I'm going to move on this one. If you have any further questions, review the archive or go ahead and let me know what the questions are, and we'll work from there. Last one, what if you don't have a set work schedule? That's fine. You put in what work schedule you might have had this week. Do your best guess on the future weeks. If it changes, once you find out on week 3 what your work schedule is for week 3, you change your copy of it. You don't have to resubmit it to me, but it's there for you so that you can see what your work schedule is. For us, just do your best guess for the first 4 weeks because you have to turn it in. Some of the examples should actually be on the PDF for the assignment. Nothing fancy. This is an example. That's as fancy as it has to be. A little bit more probably color coding and maybe separation, but that's totally fine. This is actually another example. The video we're using in the template. That's totally fine. That's acceptable. You just want the information pulled. All right, got to move on, people. I'm behind because I babbled way too much for my job. Way too much. So industry websites. There's a few sticking points that always come up on industry websites. First, people go, I don't understand what you mean, industry website. Well, I'll show you really quick if we go to Blizzard. And we'll go to Stack Overflow. Now, so let's say you were going in any field where you might want to work for Blizzard, be it as game art, you might want to do the computer animation for their shorts, anything, okay? Literally anything. Do you think that this is an industry website? Now, first, you might want to ask yourself, what would an industry website be? Who would the focus be for an industry website? Who's the target audience? No. So the players are the people who are writing the code for the game or designing the level. Yeah, this website is for the fan, right? This is for the consumer. You guys are starting your journey right now from consumer to creator. Does that make sense? You can still enjoy all the things you enjoy, but an industry website is where people in the industry will share information to others in the industry. So if we look here, this is all about BlizzCon, about their charities, PvP stories. It has nothing about their level design, their art director, how they model, how they streamline their polygon count. It has nothing about their boss fight design. It has nothing about their skill trees, nothing like that. That's not where this is discussed. This is not for other industry people to come to and learn from. No, a corporate website is generally based for fans. Forums are also generally based for fans. They might be of use, but if we go to Stack Overflow, where are my developers? Any of the developers. Okay. Are you familiar with Stack Overflow? Those that said yes? All right. Java. We'll do cycling through a Java array. Of course. Helps if I spell it correctly. All right. Oh, look, here we go. So we have a question. So Stack Overflow, and I apologize because if you are not a developer, this is just going to look horrible to you. Stack Overflow is where people in the industry and are learning the industry, post questions, share code, and get feedback. This person is stuck. Here's their code they're stuck on. Here's the details of where they're stuck. And then, oh, look, there are 2 different people with different answers that get upvoted. And it says, no, here's what you need to do. This applies for everything. Connecting to a network, Swift. Okay. Now, this might look like a forum to some of you. It might look like a lot of you are saying foreign languages and garbage, but it's code, and it helps figure out where your code is not working. This is designed for people who are writing code. This is designed for people who they want to buy their projects. They want you to be hyped about their products so you buy them. This has nothing to do with any of your industry, all right? Just that's an example. We have here, and this one I actually made bold and underlined. That was my choice, thank you, because I could not see it. People were missing it. If you open this up in a new tab, this is a list just to get you started. You are by no means limited to any of this. And for those that are like, oh, game art totally gets shortchanged. Why the hell we only have 2? Well, because computer animation also covers a lot of your game art stuff, okay? For my software people, we have all of these, all of those are for computer animation and game art. Mobile dev, you're here. Mobile dev, you can also use computer science ones. Computer science, you can use mobile development ones. You can use the combined ones. Web dev, you have those. Digital art design, graphic design. You almost all of you have a bazillion, or at least a start of websites that you're going to be able to utilize to get started on what we're talking about, okay? If this is not sufficient, you are more than welcome to use other websites as well. Just try to make sure that they are professional. Cloud Technologies is actually now called IT, Information Technologies. So that's here. So Cloud Technology is now called Cloud, or never going to get that right. Information Technology. And now what you need to do for this assignment, that's just to set the context for you. So you have an idea of industry versus fan-based. And if you're ever stuck, just think, if I was not a consumer, is this web page trying to sell the consumer something, get the consumer excited about something, or is it sharing how they did something with people? That's what you have to ask, okay? If you're asking for what a good place for a graphic designer is, I will point you back to the list that has a whole bunch of stuff for graphic design, digital arts and design, and digital arts and design, because there's a huge overlap on all of those. So those are all super useful links for you. This is by no means an exhaustive list. You are welcome to use other websites. The assignment calls for you to do 2 different parts. The first part, you're going to pick 3 websites that are from your degree or discipline, which means industry field, and you're going to write at least 1 solid detailed paragraph for each about what you found interesting about it. That's all. Did you like the layout? Was it useful information? Do you think that if you were in the industry and you understood more what they were talking about, that it would be of use? Is it something you would bookmark and come back to? Is it stuff that you found inspiring and would like to follow people's work on? What is your takeaway from this site? Okay? You basically have the 3 prompts. You're going to choose 3 websites. You're going to have a paragraph on each one that shares what you found interesting about each site and industry. All right? The second part, you will then pick 2 other websites from other degrees that are not your own. They could be 2 of the same. So if you're in graphic design, you could pick mobile dev and mobile dev for both sites. That's totally okay. Or you could pick mobile dev and game design, whatever you want. They're all interrelated on some level. You all are different parts of the same projects. So one of the overlaps is that you might find a field that is more interesting and you go, oh, actually, that's what I want to do. It's the same thing for those two sites. So you have 3 from your industry, you have 2 from a different industry, and you're going to talk about these bullet points. For the second part, the bullet points are slightly different. You should talk about what the similarities are with your degree, how it might differ, what did you learn about that particular industry, et cetera, et cetera. So what use was that updated new place for you to consider? Does that make sense? So I want you to root around from now until Sunday, from now until possibly Thursday. I think this is, nope, Sunday. Okay, so you're good. So you have from now till Sunday, explore different sites, explore every website on this list. That's totally fine. Find your own, make it challenging. Dig into the sites, dig around, explore them. It's kind of like a YouTube hole. Sometimes you're going to get sucked in and be like, oh my God, I've been looking at graphic design stuff for 4 hours. I need to actually write something about this website. All right, so it's an interesting part. This, and I'll forewarn you right now, there is a lot of research in my class. The reason there's research is because all of your industries change constantly. All of them. I can't have a textbook that covers this because it's asinine, to be honest. Did anyone here see the movie Hidden Figures? Is anyone familiar with the story? Right? It's about the 3 black ladies that worked at NASA, the ones that ended up becoming managers and famous. There were many, many others that worked there. We're talking about these 3 particular ones. I can never remember her name. The managing supervisor, who was in charge of the human computers, she actually is the example I use for my class all the time in lecture. Okay? For those of you that are not aware, before we had supercomputers, we had human computers, literally humans that would do nothing but super advanced math. That's how our space program got started. Then they started coming in with supercomputers. The manager saw that the supercomputers would be replacing her entire job and career field. All of the people in her department would be gone because the computers could do the calculations more accurately and faster than the human could possibly keep up with, right? So clearly what she did was tossed in the towel, worked her job as long as she could until she was obsolete, and then she retired and got another job somewhere else, right? Yes, it is Katherine Johnson. No, Katherine Johnson was the mathematician. This lady was the manager. I apologize. I do not remember the name. Anywho, the point of the story is this. She did not throw in the towel. She went, got a book on programming, and taught herself Fortran. Having no background in computer science at all, she taught herself Fortran so she would know how to program the IBM that they were getting installed. She went further than that, and in her free time after work would go into the IBM room and piece together how the hell that big giant computer worked, what was supposed to be connected where. She read the manual for it, and she was, at the time of its activation, the actual resident expert on that computer. Now, you might go, well, that's great. I'm a computer animator. What the hell does that have to do with me? Because she is in a field that involved and evolved with technology. She looked to see what current trends were, projected where they were going, and adapted her course in her career before she was obsolete. Okay? If you think for one moment that, let's see, retiring age, I think is 70 now. So that we'll say the average age of you guys is 20, so the math's easy on me. And then what's that? 50 years from now, you'll be retiring, right? Do you think computer animation is going to look the same as it does now in 50 years? And if you go, oh, I don't know what it's going to look like. Let me ask you this. What did computer animation look like 50 years ago? Mobile dev. Where's my mobile dev people? What do you think mobile development was like 50 years ago? There was no mobile development, right? We didn't have smartphones. There was no such thing. So if you take that and you go 50 years from now, well, we might sell smartphones, or we might have a small microchip that's implanted in everybody's head that allows them to do all the same things, right? It was Thanos' snap. He messed up everything. Does that make sense? That's why this is important, guys. The reason I'm having you go out and dig up these websites is because you need to know what websites are relevant for your industries. You need to dig this month into your industries, into who is in your industries, into what companies are in your industries. It does not impact your career to go, I love League of Legends. I want to work with Riot. Because you know what? You might hate working for Riot. You might find that the way they develop is totally against how you end up enjoy coding. So you need to know how they are with their design elements before you go work there, right? I just want you guys to dig. This month is all about digging out and exposing yourself to your industry, what it's really like as a creator, not as a consumer. Okay? Sorry, got a little off the rails on the tangent there. A little rambling. Sorry. I'm off the soapbox now. Stepping back down, coming down to earth. La 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 la. So with this particular assignment, 5 websites, 3 from your degree, 2 from another degree, and you need to find these prompts. These are not by any means the only prompts. You do not have to answer these 3 specific questions. You need to dig around, find out what was interesting on the site. How is it relevant? You think it's going to be useful? That kind of stuff. Okay? And I will give you a little hint if you're any developer, any web, mobile, computer science, game dev, any of you. Stack Overflow needs to be your #1 bookmark for anything you ever do ever. Okay? Understand? Game design, you're going to have to learn to code eventually, believe it or not, at least script. And scripting is similar to coding in most structure. And for those of you that are like, oh God, I just don't understand this. Believe it or not, as you learn to code, this is like English. This is saying UI application. You can see that it's this different color. That means it's a command. Then dot, something that's shared. Then dot, this is what they called it. They called it is network activity indicator visible. And they set it to true. So they're saying for this application, on shared, when shared, is the network activity indicator visible? Yes. That's all. So, I say that's all, but I've been programming for like 4 years. As you get used to it, you can see. Really, really neat stuff out there. But by the same thing, computer animation, computer modeling, my favorite thing to talk about is Moana for 2 key reasons. Maui had traditional tattoos, right? He had those, I can't remember the style. They use like a little tiny stick with needles on the end, and they tap it with a hammer to get those the marks in. And I can't remember for the name of life of me what the traditional name of that tattoo style is called. It's incredibly painful because it's about 10 little needles, and they tap, 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 dip it in ink, tap, 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 dip it in ink, tap, 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 and it just goes on and on and on to make those intricate designs. So the thing I'm pointing out is not to go, oh gosh, it's so painful, but because of how it's done, what happens is where that technique has been applied, it causes scar tissue to form. Very minor scar tissue. super tiny, slightly raised area on the skin where the tattoo is. Okay? If you look at still shots in HD of Maui, they paid so much attention to what they were doing with their computer modeling and animation that scarring is clear on Maui's skin. So that's what you need to be thinking about. The second thing with Moana that I always use as an example, everybody loved his little animated tattoos. They had a traditional classic animator from Walt Disney come and lead the team. It was a separate team. They drew and animated his tattoos. Then they took their 2D animated tattoos and mapped it onto the 3D animated Maui. That is pretty awesome stuff and was really cool to see. There's a whole bunch of making how they did it. Seriously, go out, watch both of those things. If you're in computer animation, you should be keeping up with this. The water, the hair from Brave, a bazillion things that they've done. This is what this assignment's about. Go out there, find the websites where you can discuss this stuff with like-minded people, okay? That's what I want you to do. Use this list as a base. You're welcome to go off the list if you want. You need to have 5 sites, 3 from yours, 2 from another. Some of you are going to be like, okay, we totally need citations. Oh, God, this is horrible. I hate it. Does it need to be APA? Blah, blah. No, I don't care about APA. This is not an English class. This is what I need right here. This is what I need. That's your citation. Site name and the URL for the site. Does that work for you? That's the 2 things I need. That's all. That is all. All right. Once you have all 5 sites, you need to save it as a PDF and upload it by Sunday. All right. If you're curious, nope, it did not open for some reason. Don't know why it keeps doing that. Down here, here's some examples. You have good examples because they included images and links and color coding and titles. Pretty decent examples because they have a larger title, right? They have the information clearly separated, it's delineated, and they have their thoughts. And then the bad example, someone who doesn't pay attention to anything my assignment says, either on the FSO page during this lecture or on the PDF, and instead just writes a giant paper. All right? Then you have the rubric. Down here is going to give you an idea of what score you're going to be aiming for. And that's it. This assignment is time consuming, not because of what I'm asking you to write, but because of what I'm asking you to get out there and find. I want you to explore your industries. I want you to see what websites are used in your industries. I want you to find what companies are active in your industries. Now, we have people and places and industry stuff in week 4. In this one, you're looking for resources that you'd be of use to you in your industry as you move forward. ArtStation is one of the #1 ones I can say for all my computer animators and game art folks. DeviantArt is not. DeviantArt is a more fan community sharing, whereas ArtStation, people from Pixar go to ArtStation and surf around to see what people are working on. Does that make sense? So, DeviantArt, fan. ArtStation, good. Yes. Look what I did blog. It depends. If it's, as long as it's useful and it's somewhere where people share stuff, that is totally okay. So I'm going to work my way up through a few questions I saw, and then you guys are free to ask questions on this one. We'll try to wrap this up, get you guys out of here. Yes, Jennifer asked about Polycon with what I did blog. Stuff like that is totally fine. But the key with it is not just somebody else sharing, but that there's an interactivity. So like as an example, on any of the websites, if we go to 3D render, this is a whole bunch of articles and tips. So like tips, how to do more stuff how to do more lighting, more realistic lighting. And it has that kind of information for you. Whether you are able to submit to this or not, comment on this or not, is totally beside the point. But what you want on this particular assignment is something that's going to allow you to learn and people in the industry to share with each other and help grow their industry. Does that make sense? Let's see what else we got. For the first, oh, that's answering. So game design and game development. Oh, dang it. Game design and game development use the same sites for the most part. Yes-ish. Game design, you need to look for stuff outside the search parameters for you are a little trickier. You might look for boss fight design or raid design in Destiny 2. And we can go here. You want to avoid ads. But this, oh look, this might not be a website that works. Okay, this might not be a website that has what you're looking for. But when you go, if it has useful stuff, that is not enough. You're not looking for just that article. Oh, here's a place that has an article. What you want, does it have other articles? Because for design, it is not just about what it looks like. It is not about the code. It is about the psychology and the rules of the game. So you want to try to find stuff that's talking about that. For all of you that are asking, what about this? What about that? I'll refer to you again to the list that has your degree programs here. If you're in DAD, there is a DAD area, Digital Arts and Design, DAD. This is a good starting point for you. You may also use the shared one with study.com. And you can also, for DAD, generally use graphic design and websites as well. All right? Yes, game design and development do have some overlap. I don't want you to misunderstand completely because some of them talk, that's why I said yes-ish. But you can also broaden your thoughts on it and your search on it for outside websites if you wanted to go that way as well. Reddit, Discord doesn't really work because Discord is just chat servers. People usually don't have articles, they're not sharing in-depth tutorials or their techniques or discussing any of that. So Discord is a chat thing, not really what we're looking for it. You might have full-on great discussions on it, but we're looking for a site that's designed for people to go to share the information. Again, the list is not exhaustive, okay? So there are more websites than are listed on our little moderated document. You are free to use any of the links that are on our document. They're not off limits. You are free to use any of them. You can also use this as a starting point and use some of your own as well if this is too limiting or if you have other good ones in mind. Just please make sure that it is more industry focused instead of consumer focused. You're in no way limited to the company links that are listed here, okay? You can use anything you want as the two. 3 are going to be from your industry, and 2 others, whatever you want. Game art might be good for one of them, but you might want to do one of the coding ones or graphic design ones, or even more relevant directly with your animation. Where is it? If you go to Motionographer here, Motionographer is spectacular for just about anybody because motion graphics are actually a huge part of graphic design and digital arts and design now. So, and it has a lot of bearing on animation and some of the same techniques and stuff. So, broaden your scope. Look at whatever is interesting. Go through all the links and go, I like that one, I don't like that one. Does that make sense? right. Any other questions on the 1.2? I'm not going to go through everybody's list of websites. You have a list of examples. You can go look at some of those and then see if yours are similar to what we're talking about. Does that make sense? Because I can't, there's what, 74 of you in here? So I can't really go through all of it. Especially because, my gosh, have I gone long. Usually it's about an hour, so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the great thing is 11 of you are currently in other websites, which I know is fine because I just shared a list of links for you and we talked about Discord and all the other stuff. So it's one of those where it's certainly something to consider. But yes, thank you for sharing the link. And if you click on it, it's going to ask you to go to the website and make the link. You accept the invite, and once you're on, I think I still have my Discord open. You'll be in this channel here, and when you join here, this is the staff one. You will actually have to pretty much submit your information in order to get approved. Basically, you're verifying you're a student of Wholesale, and then that'll give you access to all the other stuff. All right. All right, guys. Okay, you guys here? Woo. I have no idea. We are done. That just got a black screen. Everything went away, and that was it. But we are wrapped up, so I will go ahead and close this out, stop the recording.